Hello guys, it's me Time Panda, and today's going to be a special video. I've already recorded this, but my car got corrupted, or I've done something to the computer or some shit. But a Canadian YouTuber that I watch, Matthew Sorrell, can't remember their name. He did a difference between the US and Canada video a while ago, which I was like, yeah, that's quite a cool idea. I think I might do that. So that's what I've decided to do. So this is if you haven't already noticed by the whole thing that says here, difference between the US, the UK and Canada. Now I am going to say there's going to be a load of cuts, probably 10 cuts, just so that I know exactly when editing what to place, because I may have a few photos that I'm going to put in front of the shot first, introducing what's coming up, then you'll get the actual video. So yeah, it's going to be really bitty, but until I get proper editing of where I learn how to properly edit, that's the best I'm going to get you. So yeah, we'll just begin. So the first is obviously governmental. Now the UK obviously has Prime Minister David Cameron. As you hopefully see in the slide before, the US has a president, Barack Obama, for now. However, it may turn into Donald Trump / Hillary Clinton. So yeah, I wonder how that will end up. However, Canada actually has the same as Britain in the fact that they have a Prime Minister, and it is similar to the way that we work, our governmental system. So obviously in the UK we have loads of different parties, from Labour to Conservative to Liberal Democrats to UKIP to Green to the Independent. Yeah, I think that's all I can remember off the top of my head. And if you know, as you know, in the UK, the main parties you'll probably vote for is either Labour or Conservatives, and sometimes Lib Dems, because the Lib Dems seem to have a coalition with either the Conservatives or the Labour. Except this year, where Conservatives actually got a majority government, which was a little irritating, because if they had got something like 2 less people in Parliament, they would have had to make a coalition, which would have been absolutely hilarious, I think. Because then they'd have to have listened to other people other than just themselves. But hey ho. However, that's down in England, but Scotland, Ireland and Wales, because they're all different countries, they all have their different parliaments. So up in Scotland you're most likely going to vote either Labour or SNP. SNP is the Scottish Nationalist Party, which, you know, same type of party that Hitler came from. However, Nicola Sturgeon has not gone that way yet. However, she might. I don't know. Ireland has the same idea. They have their own national party, which is usually who wins, or at least gets a massive load of votes. However, I think they may be Labour as well, and I'll look down in Wales to have their own party. However, I think they're more Conservative if it's not their own national party being voted. So yeah, that happens. However, in the US this is completely different, because you have 2 parties. You're either... No, actually I think there is a possibility for 3 parties, but I'm not sure if that's ever actually happened. I've never heard of it happening. Except for this year, I don't know if D's Nuts Guy, like the party, is actually a thing, or if that's just, people taking the piss out on the internet, haven't actually, it seems legit, but yeah. So you either have the Republicans or Democrats. From what I can see in the recent days, neither are very useful. Shit always happens either under both of them. But I think I may get this wrong, but Democrats. Yeah, Democrats. I think is the party that Obama's with, which has been semi-useful, and I think that's who Hillary Clinton's with. Hopefully, I should really have made this clearer, but yeah. So, and so there's those two parties, and then I think there's and then there's D's Nuts Guy, but I don't think he's a real thing. But anyway, and I'm just gonna follow the trend. Kanye West president 2020. That would be absolutely hilarious. I think that will be. But Canada actually has a completely different system where they actually have 5 political parties, I think. Similar to Britain in the fact that we have 6 national party. We have 6 Democrat parties that you can vote for. So yeah, that's cool, huh? Now the next is the currency. Now the currency of Britain is the pound sterling, which is a pretty cool money. The US use dollar and cent, and Canada uses Canadian dollar and cent. However, I think they've got a $1 coin, a $2 coin, and then it goes into 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100, which is similar to how we do it. We have a £1 coin, a £2 coin, £5, £10, £20, £50 and £100 note. However, I think that a £100 note might be a myth, because I've never really seen one in person. But still, and the dollars have a $1 bill, then $5 bill, 10, 20, 50, $100 bill, which all have famous presidents on them. So that's cool. However, the Canadian money is said to be monopoly money because it's nice and colourful. However, that's similar to Britain in that we actually have 2 different types of currency. We have the Bank of England currency, which is majorly used down in England and up here. And then you have the Bank of Scotland notes, which up until recently, I can't remember exactly, people could actually refuse point blank to take it down in England. Like, people actually were saying, no, we can't take this, we don't think this is real money, which I found fucking annoying, because then you have to make sure that you're actually, if you're sending money down, you need to make sure it's Bank of England notes, which is really annoying. But still, ours is better because it's got Robbie Burns on it, and Robert the Bruce, and other people. Ours is also really colourful. Ours is blue, purple, orange, and green. Yeah, because our we have a bluey green for our 5. Our 10 is brown. Our 20 is purple. Our 50 is an orangey brown, and the 100, I think it's pinky. It's a pinky colour. So Canada's not the only one with colourful money. We also have it. So that's pretty awesome. Our next section is safety. Now this is a quite hard one. What I mean by safety is then how trusting people are. Now, obviously, over in America, it's not a good idea to leave your door unlocked because everyone's got a shotgun. That's literally my notes. Like, US shotgun. Pretty much because of the Second Amendment, has the right to bear arms. So, you try breaking into a house, they will shoot you. Which is fair enough, I guess. Maybe a warning shot for actually shooting them. However, it's really up to you. And I'm sure that you'll now get prosecuted for shooting a man. However, if they did that here in the UK, there'd be a lot more deaths because, Britain's very alcoholic and I've seen people trying to get into the wrong house before. Like, they've tried to open the door, not knowing. Over in America, they'd have shoved their gun out the cat flap and shot you. So, yeah. So there's a little difference. However, over here, we don't actually, we haven't got that big of a problem because, guns aren't really legal here. Unless you're a farmer. Farmers don't give a shit. They if you're a farmer, you can actually legally ask to have a gun permit, which means you can shoot people if they're on your land. So yeah, it's really cool and kind of scary at the same time. The fact that you could be drunk in the middle of the woods, you're drinking, having a bonfire, you wander into a field to have a piss, and double barrel shotgun to the back. I don't think at times like that. I think there's very little. There's been very little deaths caused by guns due to farmers shooting them because people in their arms. It's usually animals like foxes, beavers, not beavers, badgers, dogs sometimes because that's happened. There have been cases where dogs have been shot because they've gone into the wrong land. Like, not purposely, there's a farmer there with a shotgun going, no, it's a dog, and shoots it. But they see something going through the field towards their animals, they will fire. Because they think it's a fox, or a badger when there was that whole thing about badgers carrying TB. Or, up here, especially, we have, wildcats. There are still wildcats up in the, highlands and that. So, they could endanger livestock, so, yeah, so that's happened. But we barely I'm not saying we barely lock our doors, because, you won't really do, at night you lock everything up, because that's just a standard thing. However, if you're popping down the shops, don't want to lock the door, I'm just 5 minutes away. What's going to happen there? Not long. So you never so you just don't lock the door, do you? Or at least you lock we have an outer door and an inner door. We only lock the inner door because you ain't going to be able to get through it because it's a 7-point lock, anti-theft, anti-break-in type door. So we take the key with us if we are going out, so we lock there. But there ain't no point, is there? So yeah, but we're not unless you're in the city, and then that's probably not a big thing to happen. I'm in a very small city where plus I'm right next to a police station, so it's kind of shitty and idiotic to try and do that. But yeah, if you're living in London, York, Manchester, Liverpool, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Inverness, Dundee, Cork, Dublin, Belfast, Cardiff. I don't actually know any other big city. Well, of course I know big cities, but I don't know any other more big cities in Wales. Sorry, Wales. But yeah, so if you're living there, then of course you would probably lock your doors because not us. But That doesn't happen in Canada. No, it's quite often you leave your door open because what's the point? And if someone did try breaking in, you'd probably just be like, hey, do you want to drink beer and watch the Maples game? I have to say, a lot of this information, I have researched it. However, a lot of it has just came off of what I knew and what Matthew has put in his video. So, yes, that wasn't me being stereotypical and saying that all Canadians drink beer and watch the Maple game. Cheers. Cross some fingers. I think is the Vancouver Maple Leaf, which is Vancouver's national hockey team. So the next thing is spelling. Now, of course, spelling's going to be completely different. It's completely different right across Britain, along with America and Canada. It's completely different. Like we say honour, Honour, where they say Honor. So they drop the U, like over in America. However, they keep the U in Canada because they do that. And like Z, so we say W, X, Y, and Z, or Z. Yeah, we say Z, or at least I say Z. I don't know if that's British or American, but we say that letter Z differently. But Canada says the same as us. So if you can see a theme here between us and Canada in similarities, then yeah. Also the way that we say our soft drinks, like cola, we call it we call it like a soft drink. However, Canada calls it pop, and America calls it soda. So I guess it's sort of different spelling. However, that's probably different words more than anything. But yeah, so that's cool. So now we're getting on to the different drinks. Now, obviously, we say we have water, or water. If you don't know where you're from. However, America, I think they extenuate the wa, so it's water. No, yeah, water. So that's actually Australian, but you understand what I'm getting at. They extenuate different letters. I'm only using water for an example because we say it differently to America, also to Canada, also to Australia. You're just getting that in there. But it's just because water is a word that is, I don't want to say butchered, because that's but yeah, it's butchered in all languages, really. Trying to differently, right? It's like a European, like German's Wörter and stuff like this. So yeah, so I'm just using that as the example. There's kind of different spelling, different pronunciation, different wording for it. However, obviously, over here we have, like, we call soft drinks, either soft drinks, pop, fizzy pop, depending on which side of the border you're on. Because I call it fizzy pop, or I call it both. But I think like fizzy pop and pop is more of a Canadian type thing in English, other than like a tinny. Like, I sometimes say tinny. Like, I've heard it being used. I think I used it once or twice, but I try and have like the sound of it. I didn't see it really useful, so I got a can. But that's purely myself. America obviously calls it soda. But also we call it a drink dispenser. I'm not sure about Canada, but Americans call it a soda fountain. Because, why not? Like, a fountain to me is a decorative idea. Like, central thing that you have in the middle a city or a town which produces water. Water! Or somewhere that you get water from, because it's like a water... Actually, it's a water dispenser. But, you know, Americans call it a water fountain. It's really weird. So, yeah, that's just something else that's in there. But, yeah, if you like the photo I put there, I'm sorry to Canada. I think that is your national, drink, fizzy. Because that's what I typed that in to Google Images. Thank you, Google Images, to get that up. I put in American soda, that came up, and I put in Irn-Bru, because Irn-Bru. Because there's not very many national, fizzy pops for Britain. We don't have very many that are our own. I think it is purely just Irn-Bru. We're more famous for our alcohol than anything. It's just really bad. There's another thing, alcohols. So America's beer and they have whiskey, but it's like Bean and Jack Daniels. Not really real whiskies. It's not like a Glenfiddich or a Glenmorangie or a Glen... that's really bad. It's a really nice whiskey. But we're actually famous for more of our, our whiskies, our beer, our gin, London Dry Gin, or Bombay Gin. Really weird. Technically, it's English. It's a British gin, but I think it was first brewed or created in India. So yeah. Obviously, we have Bell's whiskey, and then our beers are. I don't think there's many English beers. I know that you have Tennent's here, and I don't know what to call Guinness. I wouldn't really say Guinness is a beer, but yeah, you have Guinness and we have Bailey's, which I'm saying is Irish, because it's an Irish cream whiskey. That's what it's pronounced as. However, I don't know. There might be other countries that claim it's theirs. I don't know. So now this is going to be a much longer section, and we have the national animal / plant of the country. This is purely because I found that it was quite unfair when going through stuff, because I couldn't actually find a national animal for Wales or Ireland. I eventually found one for Wales, and I sort of found one for Ireland. So that's why I put a national plant in, because I thought, it's a nice little thing to have. So obviously, I can't just say this is the national animal and this is the national plant for the UK, because obviously it's made up of 4 different countries put together to create the island. So every single place has their own national plant. And I am going to say sorry to Shetland, Orkney and the Isles around the top of Scotland and the Isle of Man, because I haven't actually included them in this, because but I'll just take way too long. So I'm sorry. Also, the only one that I know off the top of my head, I think, is Shetland, and that is the pony. Because that's and I think the sheep. And there's I think there's such a thing as a Shetland sheep, but I know there's definitely a Shetland pony. So obviously, right. Well, we'll start with England because it's the most normal of the lot, and that is the lion. Now, obviously, there's no lions in England originally. There is now, because zoos and however, it is just a symbol that's always used for England. It was on the English shield. lion. It was for it's the shield that was used out during the Crusades with Richard Richard the First or Second. It's really showing. I never knew him by his actual, like, I only knew it by his title, and that's Richard Lionheart. Coming back to the whole, lion. It's also on the coats of arms for Britain. This is the British coat of arms as well. So yeah, it's also on the football team and the rugby team. On the, the shield thing there. I can't remember, I think it was a badge. But yeah, and then we're going to move it over on to Scotland, which is really weird. Now I'm going to do the animals and then the plants, because, it's cool that way. It's really weird, because the national animal of Scotland is the unicorn. I don't know, that's just apparently what it is. You can research it. If you type national animal of Scotland, it comes up with the unicorn, which is really cool. I really need to stop learning. I really need to learn stuff. Even back on the spinny show. Yeah, so that's pretty cool if you ask me. I'm like, yeah, I've got a unicorn as my national animal. Which isn't on our our national. It's not on our football team or our rugby team. Yes, Scotland does have a football team. We don't go very far. We nearly made. I think we actually have made it into the World Cup. Yeah, I think we've actually made it into the World Cup this year. It's weird. But yeah, but that's actually on the coat of arms for Britain. So you have the lion on one side and the unicorn on the other. And something I found that you'll see in the little collage, that's all done on paint, because I'm cheap like that. The unicorn is actually the only one that's chained down. It has the crown around its throat with a chain pinned to the ground. Now, is that because it's a wild horse, it's a wild stag, or is that because they're trying to repress the Scottish people? Yeah, psychological in here, isn't there? But then, that's not the weirdest one. We go down into Wales, and now you've probably guessed what Wales is, since it's on its flag, and that is the dragon. Red dragon, because that's awesome. That is really cool. So what's your national animal? Oh, it's like an otter, or a lion. Nah, I've got a dragon. I've got a dragon, was mine. It's my terrible Welsh accent there. But yeah, that's really cool. But that's not seen on the plat, like on the emblem, but it is in the flag, and it's not on the football team. And now the Irish one. Now this might be completely wrong, because it wasn't very clear. But it is the swan, or at least it was for the Irish and Scottish Celts. That was that was the believed animal. It was the muted swan. Apparently, I think it was to do with something to do with it being one of the pagan gods, one of the Celtic gods. So, yeah, it's cool. And then, so we'll go back and do the we'll go back and do the plants. So for England, it's the rose, and that is actually seen on the English rugby team. Emblem. For the Scottish, it's a thistle. That's seen on both. I know it's definitely on the rugby. I'm not sure about the football team though. Might be. A funny fact about the why the thistle is, during one of the Viking raids to a Scottish stronghold, the Vikings decided to remove their boots so that they wouldn't be heard creeping up to the keep, and they actually stood on thistles that were growing around the keep obviously, standing, they screamed, and the Scots were guarding this, seen them and killed them. And that's apparently why the thistle is our national plant, but I'm not sure how accurate that really is. But hey ho. For Wales, it is... Now there's actually a split, because it can either be the leek or the daffodil that's the national plant. Now, it seemed to be very equal-sided when I was looking at it. I've always thought it was the leek. However, on the rugby team it's the I'm saying this. But on the rugby team it's the daffodil, and for the patron saint of Wales, the day you wear even then it's a daffodil and a leek that people wear. Really different. I really don't know. So one of the two. And for Ireland it is the shamrock, which is a 4-leaf clover. Which, if you've ever been to America, or especially New York during St. Patrick's Day and had a shamrock shake, that's where it comes from. And why the beer is green, because it's Ireland, and that's apparently what happens. So yeah, it's cool. Now, funnily enough, we're now moving on to the US. Now, obviously, the US national animal is the golden eagle or bald eagle. I can't remember. I think it's the bald eagle. Yeah, and obviously that's what's on the presidential desk. It's the eagle with its the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights in either claw, if I've got my American history right. And if you've ever seen National Treasure 2, National Treasure 2, you'll see that on... Is it National Treasure 2? Yeah, it's the City Gold. The little book that has everything that's been covered up by the government is the Bald Eagle with 2 keys. So, there's that bit to do. And their national tree, their national plant. Now, the first time I did this, it hadn't actually gone through. I don't think, or at least it wasn't telling me this. Now, originally I thought it was the redwood tree, this really tall tree with beautifully. I can't remember if it's the leaf or the bark or the wood. I think it's the bark and wood that gives a nice red colour, but it's not. It's actually the oak. It's an oak trees, which has been the national plant of America. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. And finally, the national animal and plant of Canada is the beaver, which I thought was really weird. I don't know why it's the beaver. I couldn't find out why it was the beaver. If anyone can tell me why it's a beaver, then please, that'd be cool. But, and obviously maple leaf, because everyone loves maple syrup. Now, we're at number 7. Now this one's a quick one. It's the landscape. So the landscape of the UK is cities and hills, i.e. mountains, sort of. They're not really that tall, but we have got Ben Rennis, the Cairngorms, and I can't really remember the name of it, but it's down in Wales, North Wales, just over to the bridge, where if you go and get to the top, you can actually see right across Britain to the North Sea. Or at least, that's what's said about it. It's a really tall mountain that you can actually see right across Britain with. But we still call them hills. We don't call them mountains, we call them hills. It's really weird. I think that's more of just a social thing that's happened. So it's not that you're going to climb a mountain, you climb a hill. But it's a very tall hill. Unlike over in America, where most of it's city or desert, you know, Texas, Florida, Nevada, bits of California as you go up is desert because it's really quite close. New Mexico, and in a sense into Mexico as well, is desert land, cities, and they do have mountains. I think and obviously the most famous mountain, or two famous mountains, is obviously the Rockies, which splits Canada and America up, and Mount Rushmore, which is, I want to say Washington State. However, the Rushmore might actually be part of the Rockies. It might just be a section out of the Rockies that just got the many presidents' faces, 4 presidents' faces carved into it. And technically, I'm going to say Yellowstone National Park, because it's actually built on top of a active volcano. The whole area is actually on top of a active volcano. So, yeah, that happens. And that's similar to Canada. Canada obviously has cities, it has the Rockies as well, on their side of the border. But they have tundras, which is a desert of ice and snow, pretty much. Yeah. But still. And the reason, if we're going back to Scotland especially, the reason that I say that we have a load of hills as well is that most of the Highlands is rock and hills, bumpy bits. Because it never used to be. It used to be very highly populated with trees. It used to be very green. Extremely green. Like Scotland used to be full of forests. The entire thing used to be forests. Back in the Pictish and later into the Scots, because the Pictish who were here before, who fought the Romans, and then they developed into the Scots when the tribes and the old ways were, I don't want to say eradicated, because there were still people who tried to keep that alive. I'm actually, I say I'm one of the people. I still believe highly in. I'm trying to become pagan myself. And I'm not meaning cursing people with witchcraft and that, but the way of the Earth Mother and the Moon Gods and type thing, because it just seems to be the only religion that kind of keeps peacefulness. So yeah, I'm slowly trying to. I'm not slowly trying to push myself into it, but it's becoming difficult because it's not very common up these parts. Up here, it might be more common down in bigger cities. But yeah, so I think that happens. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. But when that kind of died and there was more people in the city started being built and expanding out, and then there's the binding of the kingdoms, of the Scottish and English kingdoms, then there was the binding of the binding of the crowns, and then the Union happened in 1700s. I wanted to say 1775, but I don't think it is. But you can correct me if I get that wrong. And then trees started getting cut down, and then sheep happened, and yeah. But still, it's all fun and war and games. So now we're on to a bit that's kind of controversial for many Brits, and that's rudeness. Now I'm going to leave the UK into the end. The US have got a misconception of being extremely rude, but I think that's purely just off of Brits and them not being up to our standard of, not being rude. Because I've only ever met two rude people in America, and that was in New York, where these two dicky cops wouldn't help us because we weren't exactly sure which subway we were meant to go on to. You know, that's the only real time I met a dickish American. Another time, I don't think this happened. This wasn't happening with my parents, with my mum and dad, but it happened to me. We were in Washington. I want to say the Senate building. The Senate. That's where they make major decisions and that. Where I actually wandered accidentally into a wrong route because I was with my mum and dad, and then a group of Asian tourists came past, breaking me and my parents up, and I saw one route and I went down it, and an American security guard stopped me, nice tall black man, stopped me and went, excuse me sir, you are in a restricted area. I was like, oh god, I'm sorry, I didn't really see the sign. You see, I was with my mum and dad, but a bunch of tourists, Asian tourists came past, and I kind of got turned around and like, oh no, it's absolutely fine sir, if you just head back down and to your left you will rejoin your group. I was like, oh, thank you, and it was all good. So yes, and then there was scatterings of different ideas of people. There was a lot of asking of, if there was a battle, if there was a fight to break out between England and America, who would you back? And I was like, obviously you guys. And I'm not only saying that because you're right in front of me and I'm surrounded by a bunch of Americans or anything, but still, that's what it really consists of, because obviously there's a rivalry between Scotland and England. It's always going to be there, innit? So shit happens. So I think that's a misconception of Americans, that they're rude. However, Canadians, I think that's also a misconception, because there must be rudeness everywhere. There's no way that people can be, an entire people can be really nice. It's physically impossible. So there has to be rudeness in some points. But however, I've never interacted with other Canadians. The only Canadians I've really interacted with is my cousins, and they're your family, so there's always going to be a bit biased there. However, I am hoping, if I convince my dad, to actually go to Vancouver for a visit. Going over there for a couple of weeks, like we did this with the States, but maybe starting in Nova Scotia and travelling to Vancouver. Now, obviously I'm not planning on driving it, because obviously it's going to be a hell of a long trip, because from one side of Canada to the other, similar to one side of America to the other, it's actually a long ass trip if you're going from one side to the other. I only went down the way from Boston to Florida, so that took a good 2-3 days to do. Stopping in, we stopped in North Carolina. Yeah, I think it was North Carolina, and in the South, because we stopped overnight in North Carolina and we actually stopped to eat in South Carolina. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, technically it was on the border where we stopped, because it was called the border, funnily enough. But still, it was pretty awesome, if you ask me. But yeah, I'd like to go over to Canada to see firsthand. Now, the UK. Now, the UK is quite simple. If you're rude to someone, they won't tell you. They'll say, oh god, oh, sorry about that. You step on someone's toes, you're, oh, sorry. You bump into someone, oh, sorry, and you carry on walking. But then when you're sitting with your friends, having coffee, or, having something to drink or eat, like, you'll never guess what happened to me. yeah, I was walking down the street, a guy bumped into me. Fucking dick. He just knew I was walking there, he'd seen I was walking there, and yet he didn't even think of going to the side. Fucking dick. That is what a Brit will do. So if you get knocked into a Brit, either in Britain or anywhere else, I can tell you without a doubt they will be talking about you behind your back as some guy, some girl, that, well, depending on who you are, some guy, some girl, some black dude, some black girl, some Asian dude, some Asian girl. It's always girl, it's never like lass, right? Well, unless you're in Scotland, it's dude and lass. Some Mexican dude, some Mexican girl or lass. Because, yeah, that's just the way that we are, really, and you ain't gonna stop it. So, yeah, that's just a quick warning, really. Now on to measurements. Now, I'm not sure if I think these are all factually correct. I know that at least the British ones are, that the one from the UK are. However, a few of the US and the Canadian ones, but there might be a few. I know there's definitely the UK and the US ones are correct, but the height for the Canada might be wrong because it wasn't very clear. So in the UK, the measurements we use is we use meters and centimeters for height. Usually, like going up somewhere. So, it's 5 meters by that. However, for personal height, we use feet and centimeters, feet and inches, which is really weird. It's just similar to America, but that's the only time that we use feet and inches. Like to just, it's not the only time. If it's over a certain amount of like height, then we change to feet But like, it's really weird. Like flying, it's never like 700 meters. It's 3,000 feet. No, sorry, 7,000 meters. It's 3,000 feet. So that's about the only time we change. It's really, but I think that's just universally chosen for air travel. We also use centigrade. So yeah, that's the confusing thing between us and America, because they use Fahrenheit. Centigrade is, it's really weird. So 30 degrees centigrade is warm for us. However, absolutely freezing for for Americans, because they're something like, I think that's average to 15 degrees or something like that. No, I think it's 20 Fahrenheit is 0 degrees, so that's only like 10 degrees for them. And they're like, oh damn, that's really cold. And we're like, is it fuck? Is it? Yeah, so be careful when talking like that. And we also use miles for distance, and we use miles per hour for when we're physically travelling in like a car or a vehicle, where Americans, I think, use Americans use miles per hour. So I'm kind of getting through both UK and America. Yeah. So obviously, so we're sweeping over to America. They use miles for distance, miles per hour, Fahrenheit for temperature, and feet and inches for that, for all measurements. Now over into Canada, they use kilometers per hour for distance. So yeah, it's cool. And they use centigrade for temperature, and I think they use meters for height, similar to us, but personal height. So like we use feet for personal height, they use meters for personal height. But I don't know if that's actually true, because it was not really that clear. So yeah, I might be completely wrong there. And finally, on to a semi-fun one. Milk. because everyone likes that nice juicy cow milk, cow juice. Now over here in the UK's, we use pints for measurement, and that's about it. You have 1 pint, 2 pint. No, you have 1 pint, 2 pints, and a 4 pint of milk. No, sorry. Yeah, 1 pint. Yeah, that's what I was right. 1, 2, and 4 pints of milk, and we can have that in bags, plastic cartons, cardboard cartons, fucking bottles. I think you can still get these 7 bottles, and delivered to our houses, because yeah, that's where over in America, oh yeah, he dies the postman, well the next door neighbour. No, ours was the milkman. However, over in the US, they use cartons and jugs. Cartons, but they call them jugs. Apparently so. I've never heard them being called jugs, but I've always heard them being called cartons. And I think, I'm not sure what they use smaller wise, but I know that their 4 pints, like we use, is actually a gallon, which in a British term you're like, Jesus, that's a lot, but it's not. A gallon is like equal to I think it's just over a litre, but for us that's like a barrel, because that's British. A British gallon is a barrel of oil, like a barrel of liquid. So that's where a massive confusion was for me when I was researching this. I was like, Jesus Christ, their biggest is a gallon. That must go off very quickly. But no, it's not a barrel. It's something like this big. It's big like that tall. So, yeah. And I'm not really sure what Canadians use. I never really was able to figure that out. It's a bit similar to like their height, the personal height. Never really was very clear. But I know they use bags. They use bag of milk, and they don't use cartons or bottles or cups or whatever. So yes, I can only guess that the liquid's probably the same as America. So I've been guessing. So that's everything from me. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a massive like. Share it around if you think other people would enjoy it. And if you haven't already, if you could subscribe, that would be awesome. Because it would grow the channel up. And that's really good for everyone, isn't it? That's not everything's done. If you've seen on my channel, I actually have a feature. Now hopefully you guys see that, I don't know. I see it at least. And that is Shadowhawk0304. Now he's my mate I work with at the PDSA. And yeah, if you could check him out, that would be awesome too. I don't know, he's not done any face thing because he doesn't want to actually see, which is a really good idea. I wish I kind of thought of that to start with, because I kind of like the whole idea of not being seen. But yeah, so I think that'd be awesome. But I've been seen now. But if you could check him out, that would be ace as well. I'm not sure if it will be up by the time I've posted this video, because I'm not sure exactly when he's joining it, but my other mate is thinking of joining the Great Lines of YouTube, and I'm giving him pointers because why not? So I'll probably be featuring him as well. And if you could also check out the other feature I've got, is the Reed Show, but however it might be put under Courtney Reed. If you check that out as well, because I'm just trying to expose every one of my mates' YouTube channels, because that's just the type of guy I am. But anyway, if you tune in tomorrow, you'll see a beautiful vlog of mine, my nice little Sunday vlogs. Hope you guys will enjoy that. So, you've been you, I've been Titan Panda. I hope you guys come back tomorrow to see my vlog. If you don't, well, you're missing out on a decent vlog. If you do, hope you guys enjoy that. And Panda out.